Hey, what's up, chess lovers, and welcome back to Chessway. In today's video, we're going to look at a really fascinating chess game played between Paul Morphy and Jay Carr in the year 1858. The game begins with e4 and h6. Whew, honestly, I don't really get it, guys. Out of all the tested and solid options like e6, e5, d6, or c5, why would you play h6? Anyway, let's continue. Morphy plays d4, and Black replies with a5. Yeah, that's pretty unusual. But thanks to these old masters, we've learned so much about modern chess theory, right? All right, Morphy develops his bishop to d3, and after b6, preparing to fianchetto the bishop, he plays knight to e2, preparing to castle short. But instead of going for bishop g7, Black plays pawn e6 first. Okay, so it's clear. White is ready to castle short, but now Black's bishop suddenly goes to a6, offering a trade of bishops. Morphy calmly closes the diagonal with pawn to c4. At first, I thought Black would go knight c6, but no, he plays knight f6 instead, intentionally giving White a tempo to attack. So Morphy pushes pawn e5. After the knight retreats to h7, White pushes again, f4. Look at that! White completely dominates the center with 4 pawns. This makes it really hard for Black to develop his pieces properly. Carr responds with bishop e7, preparing to castle, and Morphy continues with knight g3. I think it's more of a preparation for pawn f5, since it looks like Black's going to castle short. But no, Carr doesn't castle yet. He plays pawn d5 first, and Morphy instantly takes advantage with queen g4 attacking the g7 pawn. Now, only after that does Carr finally castle short. And of course, knight h5 threatening checkmate. If pawn g6, White just takes it with the bishop, so Black tries pawn g5. But Morphy simply captures it, and after Black recaptures, maybe knight f6 check would have been best, but Morphy chooses to just take the knight with check. Let me show you why that's such a big deal. If the king dares to take the bishop, here's what happens. Knight f6 check. If Black ignores it and moves king h8, then queen h5 check, followed by queen h7 checkmate. If the king tries g7 or g8, then White simply takes the pawn with check. And after king h8, queen h6 is checkmate. So in short, the knight must be captured. Maybe White gives a queen h5 check first, and after king g8, he plays pawn takes bishop, and the same checkmate sequence appears again. The queen captures the pawn, king moves, and queen g7 is checkmate. There's no way to defend this. Even if Black tries to laying with queen takes pawn, the rook just recaptures and the same checkmate sequence continues. Queen takes pawn, king moves, rook h6. Checkmate. Even if Black tries rook e8, it doesn't help. Queen takes f7 check, king h8, and still, rook h6, checkmate. That's the fatal punishment if Black dares to capture the bishop earlier. Brutal. All right, let's go back to the game. So, of course, Black doesn't take the bishop. He moves the king to h8 instead. But still, knight f6. White's idea now is to pull the bishop back so the queen can jump to h5 check and then deliver checkmate just like before. Carr finds a decent defensive move, pawn takes c4, but it's still according to Morphy's plan. Bishop retreats to c2. Now, how can Carr possibly stop the two-move checkmate threat? Queen h5 and queen h7. There's only one way. And he finds it. Queen takes d4 check. At first it looks desperate since the queen is hanging, but after Morphy captures it, Black plays bishop c5, pinning the queen. Wow, that's actually a clever defensive resource. But okay, Morphy simply captures the bishop, and after recapture, Black survives. But Morphy is still up a whole bishop. And it's not over yet. White's bishop takes on g5, then Black finally develops his knight to c6, connecting his rooks and attacking e5. Morphy brings his rook up to f3, again threatening the same checkmate ideas. Carr responds with king g7, stepping away from the rook's line. So what's White's best move here? At first, I thought knight h5 check, then after king g8, maybe rook g3 or something. But no, Morphy finds an absolutely brilliant move. Bishop h6 check. Yes, a stunning bishop sacrifice. If king h8, then rook h3, and no matter what black does next, bishop f8 will be checkmate. So there's no choice, the king must take the bishop. Then comes rook h3 check, king g5, rook h5 check, driving the king to f4, and now the killer move, king f2. Yes, that's right, this move is deadly. The king cuts off the escape square on e3, and there's a looming threat of pawn g3 checkmate. There's nothing black can do now. Carr tries one last trick, rook g8, hoping that if white captures it with the knight, he can push f5 and somehow let his king escape. But Morphy ignores it completely and plays pawn g3 check. The king has nowhere to run. The rook is forced to capture, and the game ends in tragedy. Pawn takes rook checkmate. An absolutely brilliant game. And notice how fast this whole game developed. Look, both knights and a rook barely even moved. Black's king didn't walk into danger willingly. He was forced there step by step by Morphy's incredible attacking coordination between rooks, knights, and pawns. Wow, what a genius strategy. All right, everyone, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this masterpiece and maybe learned something from it. If I made any mistakes, I truly apologize. Thanks for watching, chess lovers, and see you in the next video.